Okay, so very good evening to all of you. Thanks for joining in on time today. So, yes, for all the late joiners, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. So, welcome to the fourth session of sensorial learning, or the third session of sensorial learning, I could say. Okay. So today's session, we're going to continue exploring the shapes. We're going to continue exploring the sense of touch, the sense of sight, and different ideas that we could get on these simple exercises when we do on hands-on learning, right? So it's going to be an exciting material for today's learning. So it's called the geometry cabinet. Okay, so we're going to see a little bit more on this geometry cabinet. But before we start with geometry cabinet, I just wanted to rephrase what not rephrase, reiterate one more time what Dr. Montessori has quoted multiple times. Okay. So she has always been telling on writing in her books that senses, being the explorers of the world, they open the way to children to gain knowledge. So in any child's early years, what we see is learning through senses is laying a good foundation so that they understand the world around them. So sensorial education and Montessori also helps us to refine the senses, right? So we have learned there are activities for sense of sight, sense of touch, sense of sound, sense of taste, and sense of smell. From the past three classes, we are learning only on the exercises, which is helping me to work on my visual sense, right? That is sense of sight. So this is leading for all the children to work on a clearer observation. So the more we work on these hands-on exercises, it gives children what I could say focus and concentration, and it helps them to retain that learning for a very longer period. So we are not only helping them to understand the material, to help them understand the world around them, but you're also impacting so that the child is learning everything and their memory becomes stronger and stronger. So academic learning wise, if you see, even the sensorial contributes a lot to math and language also. Correct? So we would do simple exercises for today. In the first part, we're going to learn completely about the geometry cabinet. We're learning about geometry cabinet trays, the different shapes that it actually has. And we also would explore the geometry cabinet cards, which will be of three types. Okay, the solid filled ones, the thick outline cards, and thin outline cards. This is the first one that we're going to see, and we're going to see the variations also. So, as and when we move further to the exercises, you will also start understanding how children were also given chances to learn at every given aspect or given challenge. They understand the shapes first, then they look into identifying and drawing those shapes. Then they start working on counting the angles, counting the sides, learning about the vertices and angles, which is also helping the child to work on the geometrical vocabulary. So in the part 2 of the lesson, we would see how different triangles, or we would work on something called as constructive triangles. That's another material. So there we would see how different shapes can form a new shape altogether. Like say, suppose in case if I'm using two triangles of a different shape, it can become a rectangle, it can become a square, it can become a rhombus, or it can become a parallelogram. Okay. So that's the beauty of different kinds of exercises that you give. What is best in Montessori is not only children see, they touch it, they feel it, they learn it, they experience it through all their senses. Okay. So having said that, we would now first continue with understanding what is geometric cabinet tray. Okay. So take a look at this material itself. Now, if you notice, it's a very simple one. What you could understand over here is like, okay, this is something like a chest of drawer, right? So it's a wooden cabinet wherein you would have 6 drawers. Now, in each of the drawers, as in opening the drawer, I would be able to see it has got a frame in which there are certain shapes, correct? And now each of the shape has got a knob, it has got an inset, right? So we would be able to work easily with children. So what do I expect over here from the children is they have to just open the drawer, close the drawer, and see that there are geometric shapes which is placed in the wooden frame. This is the first thing that we would want the children to handle it easily. You will teach them to open and close the drawer and identify, not identification, but at least let them start seeing the material itself. And teacher can also say how many drawers we have. We have 6 drawers. What is the color of each of the wooden inset? It is all blue color. What do you find over there? We find different geometric shapes. Now, what it is made up of? It is all made up of wood. Now, coming down to my learning objective, you have to teach children the basic differences. Now, as teachers, when you put every tray outside, what am I supposed to identify here? Now you see all different shapes, correct? Some of them are circles. Some tray you can see there are squares and rectangles. Some tray you can see that they are triangles. Some you can see there are polygons, correct? Some you can see they are quadrilaterals. Some are all curvilinear figures. But does the child know about all of that? They don't know. So what is my first skill that I'm going to be working with children is, I will not introduce all the trays together. I would go one by one. When I'm introducing my first tray, probably my first tray can be the circular one because it's easy for the children. Now, what is my skill over here when I'm trying to work is, can my child discriminate the shape? Yes, the child has already learned the shape, but can he differentiate which tray will have circles? I know this tray has got all the circles. Now, what is the other visual discrimination you could see here? Do you notice all the circles are of the same diameter? They're not of the same diameter. The diameters would vary here. That is again my visual discrimination out of the same shape. Now say suppose in case if I take this tray, what is my visual discrimination? I can see this is a square, but all the other ones are rectangles. You agree? Correct?
Yes.
Now say
Yes, ma'am.
suppose in case if I take this tray, they're all belonging to a shape called triangle. But do they have differences in the triangles also? I see an
Yes,
equilateral
ma'am.
triangle, I see an isosceles triangle, we see an acute angle, obtuse angle, scalene triangle, right? All kinds of triangles we would be able to see. So every time that we work on this, the purpose and the objective is very simple. The child should be able to identify. Second thing is, what is the name of that geometric figure? Now say suppose in case if I take, the child should say this is square. If I'm taking this shape, the child should say it's an equilateral triangle. If I'm saying about this, right? If I'm taking this particular shape, the child should say it's a pentagon. So that's my second objective. The child should recognize and give me the name of my geometric figure. Next is, there are certain preparations for my geometry in later years. What would be my preparation? Maybe I have to learn about the sides. Maybe I have to learn about the angles, my vertices, right? So that's the preparation. That's in the later stages. So first you complete these two exercises. If your children are doing really good, then you go a little further and you teach them all the other things. Now the fourth point, which is very essential for us, is strengthening the fine motor skills. What do you mean by strengthening? I can take any inset. Say suppose in case if I take this inset, that's a circle one, I ask the child to trace the circle. So the child can put that inset and we trace around that inset. So it is helping me also to draw a circle. Now, what if I take the smallest circle and the child also takes that inset and he draws the smaller circle? So what have I taught here? It is small, this is big. For older classes, I can talk about the diameter. I can say this diameter is 8 centimeter. I can talk about this diameter is 4 centimeter, 5 centimeter. I can teach them about the diameter. I can teach them about radius. I can teach them about the circumference of a circle, right? I can also talk about circle does not have any sides. It doesn't have vertices. It doesn't have angles, right? I can ask the child to work on that. So not only it helps me to work on strengthening the motor skills, but it also gives me a foundation for my geometrical skills. Now, every time that you're giving such exercises to the children, don't you think that we are also helping the child to work, sit in one place, concentrate, do everything in order? That's the developmental
Yes.
factor. So the teacher's objective is all taken care. The child's objectives, learning parameters is all taken care. So this becomes the purpose. Always, any material that you take, it's our responsibility as teachers to understand why we do these exercises to our kids. Is it important? Is it helping me? If I'm done with these particular things, I have to move on to my next lessons. Now, what do we do here? We understood everything in the complete picture. Now, do we do the same thing in classes? We don't do it that way. We go one by one. Correct? So, you need to also see and understand what does my draw one has. I showed you the chest of drawers, right? When I open the first drawer, it could be the top or the bottom one, I would see my first drawer is the circles one. This is my first drawer. You will see all circles, they are varying in sizes. Now it is for you to understand it is varying in what size? 5 centimeter to 10 centimeter diameter. Now the second drawer is this one. You can see here you would have rectangles of varying proportions. But the first one is not a rectangle, it is a square. This is a square. And then you will see different other rectangles. The other ones are all rectangles. Can you see here? This is a rectangle. This is a rectangle. They're all rectangles. Now, what is common in these rectangles? We will see in that. The base will be common. Only the heights would differ. Okay, we would see that also. The third one, what we are seeing in our third shelf or the third drawer is related to my triangles. You will see an equilateral triangle, isosceles triangle, scalene triangle, right angle triangle. You will see an obtuse angle triangle, right? So these are all the triangular variations that you see. The fifth one is all your curvy linear figures. When I say curvy linear figures, they're all your ellipse, your ellipsoid, your quatrefoil. Okay, so they are all your curvy linear figures. This is my fifth drawer. Then I might have something related to my polygons. Do I have a polygon? This is my fourth one. These are my polygons. Anything which is above my 5 sides. So I would have my pentagon. Pentagon has 5 sides. Hexagon, 6 sides. Heptagon, octagon, nonagon, decagon. These are all my polygons. Then do I have quadrilaterals? I do have quadrilaterals where I would teach here. Now, if you see here, they're all quadrilaterals. Okay, when I say irregular shapes or additional figures, I can consider this as my quadrilaterals. I can see a rhombus, I can see a parallelogram, I can see a trapezoid, right? So they are all my other shapes or additional shapes that I can have it in my drawers. Now coming to the other thing, we go detailedly understanding about each of the drawer. Now take a look at my first drawer. Now you got the differences? How well that each of my circle is varying. My largest circle is how many centimeter diameter?
10 centimeters.
10 centimeters. So this is my 10 centimeter. So this is diameter 9 centimeters. This is my 8 centimeter dia. So I can have 7, then I can have 6, and the smallest one is 5. Correct? So what do we teach over here to the child is like when you bring that draw and you give it to them, the first exercise that you're going to work is on your pencil grip. You need to put your fingers onto it, experience the knob, take it out. Try to insert it, just like how we had it in our other metal insets and things like that. So this is the first step that you do. Okay, so you're going to insert it. If it is not fitting, try the other one. When the child is trying to work on this, you're not only working on the pencil grip of the child, but you're also helping them to work on whether it is fitting it right or not. Does my inset fit right in the right hole? They also are learning about the diameters over here. Whenever the child is doing over here, they should not make any sounds. They should not make any sounds. It has to be with so much of calmness that the child will have to do it. Okay, so there should not be much of sound, and neither they should damage the material because they are very delicate wood pieces, right? So that becomes the error of control for the child. If the child is not able to place it, they are randomly placing it, that becomes difficulty. Now, what could be the other one? See, now everything is not being arranged properly. So then you sequence it. You either go from smallest to largest circle or from largest to the smallest circle. Now, what could be the next one I can do? I can take my pencil and I can do an outward tracing like this. I can keep it on my paper and I can do an outward tracing. Agree, everyone? Now, once I'm done with my outward tracing, I can also do an inward tracing. I can do an inward tracing here also. Correct? So the teacher can also ask children, can you fill in with some color or some pattern? The child also colors it. So what happened there? You need not prepare a worksheet for the child wherein you're asking them to draw or something, but the child is doing everything on their own. You need not print anything. Let's say suppose it's time of Christmas. And if you want the child to draw a snowman, they can take another one over here and they can make a snowman. They can trace it. They can take another one and they can say, okay, this is the head of it. And then they could decorate it, right? So they can put a carrot nose, they can put a hat, they can fill in the other gaps. So it enhances their creativity and the drawing skills also in children. That's the whole purpose of it. You're not only teaching the vocabulary, but at the same time, you would also help them to strengthen their exercises. So that's my tray 1. Now, when we move to tray 2, okay, I forgot about the other prerequisite. Now, whenever you're trying to choose the paper should be the same size as the inset. This is the precondition. You have to choose the same size as your inset. So, why is that? When I remove the inset and if the paper is beneath that, I would have the exactness of where exactly that I have to trace it. Okay, so you have to keep that as a prerequisite. Now, moving to the understanding of this, you see this is a square, this one is a square. That means the base and the height is of the same length.
Equal.
Okay, it is equal. So it is how much? It is 10 centimeter. This is also 10 centimeter. Base is also 10 centimeter. Height is also 10 centimeter. Now, when you move to the other ones, you will see the base is not that very constant. It is varying. Now, if you measure, maybe it is 9 centimeter, but height might be still 10. I don't know whether you want to take it as height or if you're turning it this side, it becomes the base, whatever it is. But we saw that there was a variation. So this was my 8 centimeter. This was my 10. So what was common here? Something was common. This was all common. Height was common, right? Or you could consider the base was common here, which was 10 centimeter. So if you come to the last one, this was 7, this was 6, and this was 5. Now you got the variation. It is varying from 10 centimeter to 5 centimeter. We all got the variation, right? So height is remaining constant over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, so that's our draw 2. The objective is same. Remove everything. Try to trace it inside, outside. Try to fill in. You also go with 3-period lessons also. Now, come to draw 3. Now, your draw 3 will have different kinds of triangles. Now, it is up to the teacher. Are you teaching so many varieties of triangles? You ask for yourself. If you're teaching in your classes, good enough. But if your child or children are getting confused, don't go with all. Maybe you can go with 3 or 4 itself. So the teacher brings in that tray and she will remove the other triangles from it. But as a complete material, you will have an equilateral triangle. So which one is my equilateral triangle? The first one. You see all your 3 sides, your angles are all equal. Correct? Now, getting back to my isosceles. Now, I do have my isosceles triangle here. So 2 sides are equal. We saw this side is and this side is equal. This side is not equal, correct? So that's my isosceles triangle. The first one is equilateral. All the sides are same. Correct? So that's my first. Yes. Then I finish my isosceles. Next, what is a scalene triangle? Now, if you see scalene triangle, all sides and all angles are different. Which one it could be? It could either be this or it could be this. So the third one. Then we go to a right angle. Can you see a right angle here? There's a 90 degree here. Correct? So that becomes my right angle triangle. Right. Then do I have an acute angle triangle? Yes, I do have an acute angle triangle. Okay, every angle is less than 90 degrees. Then we have obtuse angle. Everything is more than 90 degrees. All angles are more than 90 degrees. So these are the variations that we would be teaching to our children using this material in your draw 3. Okay. So the objective is you teach them the names of it and you ask the children to draw that. Next, go to your draw 4. But you have to remember what's in your draw 1, what's in your draw 2, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. These are the materials. So if you have forgotten, you can open the draw and see what it is. Okay. Draw 4 is all your polygons. What is a polygon? Anything that is above 5 sides. Right. Polygon, right? So you can take this. Now, this is our pentagon, which has 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our pentagon. The next one is our hexagon. which has 6
Six.
sides. Next
Six
is your
sides,
heptagon,
right.
which has how many sides? 7 sides. Then
Seven
you have octagon,
sides.
nonagon, and
Octagon.
decagon. So decagon will have 10 sides.
Mm.
Set. Try to draw the shape accordingly, and you should be good to go. So that's our draw 4. Moving to the next one, that's our draw 5. Now, draw 5 is basically for our quadrilaterals. Now, quadrilateral is anything which has got 4 sides only. Okay, so I can have my square, because even that's a equal side and an equal angle. I can keep my square also in this, but I wouldn't keep it. But apart from that, what else could be a quadrilateral? My rectangle can also be a quadrilateral, because even that has 4 sides, but 2 sides are equal, 2 sides are not equal, right? Next, we could have the other ones could be your rhombus. Now, which one is your rhombus?
Rhombus.
This could be your rhombus. Something like
Yes.
this, like a diamond or a kite, we usually say, right? The shapes are not proper here in this. Okay, it would be like this. Then you have your parallelogram. So opposite sides will be equal. Okay, so this is your parallelogram. Then you have your trapezium. We also call trapezium as trapezoid. So in how parallelogram is different than a trapezoid? If you see, only
Both the
one
sides.
side is equal. The other side, the length is small. One is small and one is big. So this is your trapezium or trapezoid, where only one pair of parallel sides are equal. The other sides do vary. Okay. So this one, we don't use it. We don't show it to children. These also are not there. This comes in curvilinear. Okay. So that would be your draw 5. Now go to your draw 6. In draw 6, you will find all the curvilinear pictures. Okay. So here is what we would see other irregular and curved figures. You can see an ellipse. This is an ellipse. Okay. This is an ellipse. So ellipse has got a flat. If you notice, it has got a flat. This is flat. Okay. It's got a flattened circle like an oval. And it is
Second one
pointing
is
a little
ellipse.
closer here. Okay. So that's ellipse. Okay. It is coming to some fixed point. Okay. So that's your ellipse. Now going to the next shape, it has oval. Now if you see oval, if I elongate my circle, that becomes my oval. Okay. Ellipse and oval, they're not mathematically defined. Okay. Coming to the next one that I could have in my draw 6 could be my curvilinear triangle. See, this looks like a triangle, but all the sides are curved like this. Can you notice here? The sides are all curved here. So, and it is linear. It is not however it wants. It is linearly curved. So that's called the curvilinear triangle, wherein this triangle is formed with the curved sides. Okay. Then I could have a rectangle with the curved sides. We don't have a rectangle with the curved sides over here. Okay. Next, we have a trapezium with a curved side. We don't have this either. Okay. We have something called as quatrefoil. Okay. So this is my quatrefoil. Okay. So that's a quatrefoil. Please note down the spelling of it. Is everybody writing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
So how do you write for quatrefoil? Quatrefoil. Quatrefoil. Okay, so that is your curved figure. Curvilinear triangle we will have. Ellipse we will have. Oval we will have. Quatrefoil we will have.
Ma'am, quadrifoil is a regular four-sided figure.
Yes.
Okay.
So, ma'am, this tray alone will vary depending upon the school to school because the
See,
top.
no. The tray is what each tray would have is Like say, suppose in case if my draw 4 has only polygons, if one of the
Hmm.
teacher has removed one of the polygon and she has put an ellipse, you can do
Hmm.
that. But in case if you want to go sequentially, you need to follow the guidelines. So in the guidelines, say suppose in case if I don't want to teach draw 4, where I would have all the polygons, I don't want to teach. I want to only introduce pentagon. From draw 3 triangles, I want to teach only equilateral triangle. In draw 2, I want to teach a square and a rectangle. In draw 1, I want to teach only one circle. In draw 5, I want to teach parallelogram or rhombus. Draw 6, I want to teach oval. Okay, these are basic shapes. Now, what as a teacher I can do? I can remove all these shapes and I can make 2 separate trays and I can put everything. So it's according to you, what is the shape that you want to introduce? You will set it up accordingly. But when you're putting back the material into your cabinet tray, those shapes should go back respectively to that. So that's the reason schools will also purchase an additional geometric cabinet tray. That tray will have 6 separate partitions where whichever shape you want, you transfer it into that tray and you take it back. But when you're replacing it back, it should go to wherever, whichever you have taken, it will go back to its respective drawers. If you see in your book also, they have given it very neatly, like what are the shapes in draw 1, what is the shape in draw 2. You need to follow that because that's the guideline. It will be specific. Even in your exam, when they are asking you to write on the materials, you have to write what is in draw 1, what is in draw 2. Online students will not be able to see the material, but online students can ask me, show me the geometric cabinetry. Because offline students can go. But when you ask me, show me, I can't give you the answer. So you have to describe that material to the invigilator.
Either it is draw 1 or draw 2,
Yeah,
like
you
that
have
we
to
have
tell
to
them it
explain.
is a set of draws, 6 draws are there, in that shapes are there. I'm little confused whether I don't know the 4th draw is quadrilaterals or this one. Then you show. Then what happens? They also get an intention that yes, you know it and you're not able to figure out how many shapes are there in that respective draws. You can see and write. Why is that privilege given to you is because children also learn by doing. They learn by seeing. So it is applied to the teachers also sometimes. You also see and then you learn and you do it. So you got all of that. To support with the same exercises, you would be given cards also. Because you take a shape and then you have to match it with the card also. A 3D and a 2D. You have to match it with the cards. So you will also have another material. I'll show you that also, which comes with 3 sets of cards. And that will be like card set 1, wherein it will have a complete figure which is filled in, and card set 2 will be dark outline, and your card sets 3 will be wherein you'll do a very thin outline. Okay, that is how you introduce the children. How do you draw or what do you exactly draw? Okay, now it's up to you. Now you want to choose everything together or you want to do it one by one. Okay, the purpose of this material solves because I want to help the child to learn about the names of it. The children are able to differentiate. If I ask them, show me the circle, they're able to show. If I ask them, give me a pentagon, they're able to give. So that is all completed. But apart from that, the muscle memory, because the children are able to draw, right, with good precision. They're able to explore multiple shapes. They're trying to overlap multiple shapes. They're able to make any kind of an artwork, right? So they are able to work on all this. So these are all the extra benefits that the child will definitely have. But before you introduce, what happens over here, this is what I was trying to say. You get a separate tray, wherein basic shapes, whatever the teacher feels like, you can transfer it into this tray. It's called a geometric cabinet tray itself. You can use it even for metal insets, any inset which is of the same shape. That's the reason most of the Montessori materials, or I could say all the Montessori materials, come with an SI unit. So the circle variations, even in India, it is from 5 centimeter to 10 centimeter. Anywhere you go in the world, it will be the same. Geometric cabinetry, it will be the same height, same weight, same color, same shapes, everything would be same. So there is no difficulty of confusion over there. The child removes the templates, put the shapes into it, gets back to their place, learns about it. Now, what are we teaching them? This muscle memory. You're teaching them how to hold, how to trace. The child will have to feel the circumference of that circle. Now, once that is done, maybe the inset also, from where I removed, I would also experience from inner side. Right? So these are the two exercises that you give them so that they would have that muscle memory too, and they remember it better. Once they are done, we ask them to go to the shelf, put back all these insets, and return back this geometric cabinet tray into the respective shelves. Okay, Dr. Montessori always said children have a very strong love for geometric figures. This was a personal observation at her casa. When she gave this material to children, they were not only learning to draw, they were not only identifying the shapes, but she found that children are showing a lot of interest in mathematical conceptuals. So that becomes one of the foundation level for introducing geometry for children. So it was not difficult for her when children were moving to elementary to teach or introduce geometric figures. These are all the 2D shapes, right? So slowly they would learn about the three-dimensional figures. They learn about the area, they learn about the perimeter, the volumes, everything. They started learning all the mathematical conceptuals using that. So that is the first part of this material, which gives you good hands-on exercises of how you do it. Now, the second part of this exercises, do I have the other supportive materials? Like if you see, if you get back to your book also will have, after the draws, somewhere it would have mentioned cards. Can you notice if everybody has got the book?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
will also have
Yes,
cards.
ma'am.
So that is part 2 of this lesson. The first part of the lesson is helping the child to understand the shape itself. The child is going to draw. Now what you're going to do is you will use the next material, okay, of each of the figure, whatever we have it in our geometry cabinet, and then you're going to be seeing. Okay, so that would be our second part of this lesson. So everyone, please look into the second part of it. Let me open that.
Ma'am, for one draw, you have to try 3 periods, ma'am.
Always 3-period lesson is one something which is like a mantra you have to use. Okay. Without that, you can't teach. This is square, this is rectangle. That's it. That's how you do it. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
One second, I'm not able to open the file. Guys, we hardly have 2 minutes. We'll disconnect and connect back to part 2 so that we'll not have any disturbance in the flow. Yes,
Thank you.
please connect back.